Crazy 8. Grade 8.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Grade A Show, episode 33. We encourage everybody for tuning in. Like the channel, continue to subscribe, continue to share the channel, leave comments down below if you feel the need to do so. Mike, what's good, Brody? We're here with another one.
Yeah, rough game last night.
It was definitely rough to watch.
Yeah.
I give my little perspective on it, man. It was definitely rough to watch. To see the Celtics lose in that fashion was a bit alarming to me. I know we seen Miami do that to them a little bit in round one of the playoffs. That game where they won, I think it was game 2. We seen
Not
that a
that
little.
bad though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to. You know what I'm saying? We seen that with the Hawks when they was up 20, 30 points. We seen that with Cleveland during the season when they was up 20. But for them to lose in the fashion that they did was kind of embarrassing to me. To be up 3-0, to only have one game to seal the deal. The guys just didn't come out hungry. And I'm gonna just keep it simple as that. The guys didn't show no grit. The guys didn't show no it factor. The guys had no adversity. Basically, bro, they was put out of the game. They was put out of the game. The Celtics mentally was out of the game probably after the 6-minute mark in the first quarter. I'm not even going to stretch it all the way out to the second quarter. They was mentally out of the game. The Mavericks was doing everything that they were supposed to be doing. Luka was actually out there playing defense for once, which was honestly good to see. He wasn't complaining as much, which was also good to see. And Mazzulla was Mazzulin. Mazzulla was just Mazzulla. Mazzulla wasn't coaching. Mazzulla was letting those guys out there repetitively continuing to do the same things over and over again and not making no adjustments. He left stupid ass Hauser out there like a damn like a loose chicken. Just let him run buck wild out there the whole time, making mistakes, making bad decisions defensively and offensively. Okay, Tillman looked lost out there. The game was moving too fast for him. Jason Tatum, you seen to a point where Derek Lively got in his face, and after that, man, it was all hell broke loose after that point. Mentally, that guy wasn't in it, bro. Jaylen Brown was just missing shots, being overly aggressive. So, all around, man, shout out to the Mavericks. Definitely. From the beginning, I had this series going 5. I just didn't expect it to go 3-0 to come out to start, and then the Celtics get damn near blown out by 50. I knew Mazzulla threw in a towel in the third quarter, but goddamn.
Yeah, that was crazy last night. Yeah, I agree they didn't come out hungry, but they came out like Tatum was starving because they were force feeding them in the first quarter to try to get him that MVP, which was absolutely pathetic. Just get the job done and win the championship. I can't believe what I watched last night. It was awful. When if there's a team to come back from down 3-0 and lose a series, I think the Celtics would deserve it after a performance like that. That was absolutely pathetic last night. That you are a 60-plus win team, you make it to the finals, and you get blown out like that. That is an absolute joke, in my opinion.
I mean, the thing that alarms me the most is that um the Mavericks beat the Celtics the way that they did, but the Celtics have yet to put a stomping on the Mavericks ass like the Mavericks did to them last night.
Yep. And look at it started back in game 3 of the fourth quarter. The Celtics played like ass in I'm sorry, the fourth quarter. I think I said the fourth. The fourth quarter. They played like ass. So it's 5 straight quarters now of doing this. It wasn't just last night. The Celtics got out of game 3 by the skin of their teeth. It's this series. If the Mavs didn't have that total implosion in the third quarter where they got down by that many, this would be a 2-2 series right now.
Listen, we gotta call it what it is, bro. We gotta call it what it is, bro. At the end of the day, what's good, Ace?
It was
We
good.
gotta call it what it is, bro. At the end of the day, I do agree, Mike. If this is how y'all gonna come out, Mavericks deserve to make history and come back from being down and the first team to be able to do this. If this is how y'all gonna play, I said it from the beginning. Even though they was up 3-0, this finals is still has to be earned. It's not gonna be given. The Mavericks, I was glad to honestly see the Mavericks actually come out and put some fight on the defensive end. I felt like the offense has always been there for Dallas. Yeah, they've been missing shots. Yeah, the role players have been off, but I felt like they've at least been trying. Luka could have been doing more with getting his team involved. I was glad to see him do that a bit more this game. But I felt like defensively was really like a lot of people talk about, oh, like Kyrie not scoring this, and that. But I felt like defensively, they could have done a lot better in the first 3 games. And it showed last night, bro. It showed last night. It was just straight. It was an embarrassment, bro. It was an embarrassment. That's all I can really say on it. If this is how it's going to be moving forward, then the series is going to stretch out. But I think Celtics is going to close it out by Monday. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. How you feel about this game last night, Ace? Or the series so far? We know we haven't had you in the past couple episodes. So what's your input on the series so far, man?
Couple different things. Boston smacked up on the Mavericks game 1. I just feel like Mavs answered back last night finally. Before last night, Luka was 2 for 15 in all of the fourth quarter games. I don't want to be a hater. There was some controversial calls that could have made a difference, especially him fouling out. But on the flip side, when you're lunging in at half court, getting dumb fouls, tic-tac fouls, you deserve to foul out. Kyrie Irving let me down in game 1 and 2. Only because it's like you've been in the most hostile environment ever. You've been in game 7 in Oracle Arena with LeBron. You've been on the road in one series in the Celtics arena. When you went back with Brooklyn, you saw that you knew what to expect. I didn't think he really answered that challenge. Mike was the one that let me know how Joe Mazzulla is more analytical. Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown have a high percentage shooting a 3 on him. Maybe the footage just shows on the 3 he doesn't jump up as high or as fast. They're scoring majority of their buckets on him, and he's the one playing defense. Last night, I feel like Boston just, typical things before. They just thought it was going to be given to them. And the other team just fought back. Opening up the game, it was 2-on-2. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum versus Kyrie and Luka. And the ball just kept rolling. Dallas has still been trash from the three-point line. They hit them. Well, Kyrie was doing good in game 3. But other than that, it's just like we've seen this from Boston before where they get back in the shell and play to the competition. Keep going. You just had one more game. One more game, and you be the NBA champions. You can recreate the Kobe's picture. You can end the series and, celebrate on Father's Day. To Dallas' credit, it's good that they fought. It's either you fight or flight. They fought. One of the calls I was talking about, the end of game 2, when Jaylen Brown got the block. right before the block, with his speed and strength, he pushed in the back. Call or not, the game shouldn't be decided on that call alone. Kyrie played like try. If he had 25 points that second game, it would have been different. I expected the series to be 2-2. Dallas should have fought with this type of urgency in game 3. Here we are now. Boston's got to fight. Dallas has got to fight. I'm not saying they'll come back, but boy, it will be remembered historically if they go down 0-3 and they come back and blow it.
I think. I mean, you hit the nail right on the money right there. I think, like Luka said, they ain't gonna give up until the first team gets to 4 games. I mean, the same thing how Boston did with Miami last year. I mean, and then again, just the way that the Mavericks beat them last night. I think that you just gave them a little bit more extra confidence than what they already probably had throughout the game. This game kind of reminded me specifically last night of the Milwaukee game. I don't know if you guys remember that
Yep, I
earlier in
thought
the
the
season.
same thing. Yep.
It really brought me back to that. The highest person we had in points was Jason Tatum last night with 15 points. The guys just wasn't there, and you've seen throughout the game the same thing versus the Milwaukee game. You've seen throughout as the game progressed that the guys just lacked effort. They just lacked the mentality was just gone. Like the fierce, the toughness was just gone. Those guys wasn't playing no defense. Them guys wasn't reaching for rebounds. They was barely communicating. You seen Drew Holiday throughout the whole game just shaking his head the whole damn time. Those guys just wasn't there. And I do agree, like, keep going. The game's not over until it's over. The Celtics is literally like, I watch basketball. I'm a fan of the sport. The Celtics is my team, and you guys know this. I'm a fan of the sport of basketball, though. Overall, high school, college, NBA. And the Celtics is one of the only teams I've ever witnessed in my life that just give up. That just simply playing, like, when they're getting the mud hole stumped out of them, then you just start to see it in their body language. They just out of it.
I don't want to blame the Celtics because we've seen it. It's just because of the history we have with the Celtics from like how you watch them, I watch them when my teams went against them. I just feel like we notice it more, but I don't even want to put them to it. I just feel like the reason why, as fans, we see the potential, we see the pieces, and we just expect more. Joel Embiid commented on how the Bucks possibly gave them a championship with Drew Holiday. There was a stat here I was looking at. Celtics, I want to say, is 16-0, 17-0. Whenever Drew Holiday has 15 or more points or 20 or more points, they are undefeated when he is, I guess, the bona fide third scoring option. I don't know how he gets it, if it's third or second for the game, but when he has that point, he goes over. Granted, I mean, honestly, they've been on a great run. They were going to be the first team to sweep conference finals and the finals. However, let's still stay focused on the fact that they haven't lost a game in a month. They've been doing great in certain areas. We normally pressure Jason Tatum to score. He's been doing other things. I just feel like, honestly, Dallas was due a game. It was just the fashion and how they won the game. I'm not going to say I'm upset. Like, I was going for Dallas in the series. I still am. Y'all can slight me later. I just feel like it was the fashion and how they won. If Dallas would have won this game by 3 points, maybe a step back buzzer beater, or if Boston would have fought, this conversation today would have been different. It would have been like, you know what? It would have been like, all right, Boston lost, but it was in how they lost. When you lose by 38 in the worst finals loss in history, it's just like,
yeah. And that's why I started off with what I said. Like, I'm not. It is what it is. Like,
yeah.
the Mavericks was due for a game, bro. Like, the Mavericks.
They were due. It's just the fashion of how. Like, even I'm going for Dallas. It was like a Father's. Luka did a Father's Day special. Like, I'm going to show you why I'm still your pops. Like,
This game's not going to be forgotten about. This game will be forever remembered. I guarantee it. Like, the Celtics get pissed off about the narratives. You make the narratives by doing shit like this. Like, it's crazy. And then the other thing, Peso, that you said before about the Milwaukee game, I thought the same thing too. Last night was the first night that they only had 1 day in between the games. When they had that happen in Milwaukee, I believe they played like a 3 games in 4 day stretch, or 4 games in 5 day stretch, something like that. So I think that goes back to their toughness and grit right there. That's a big explanation for it.
Yeah, I just like I said, I agree with both of you guys with everything, man. I'm not gonna sit here and jump the gun and get too overboard though. I think the Celtics are gonna close it out Monday, but I'm not gonna dismiss what the hell happened last night. That's something that I'm not gonna do here. I mean, I really think that it was just a mental thing for the Celtics. The Celtics came out the gate matching up with Dallas. Dallas was hot. Everybody was hitting on all cylinders and stuff like that. Tatum was the only one really doing his thing in the start of the first quarter, but it was keeping the Celtics in the game. After that, man, I literally just think that it was just a confidence thing. The momentum was swinging Dallas's way. Everybody was hitting shots, and that's just what it was. That's just what it was for me. We got T Top and Musa here, fellas. Welcome to the
What's
panel,
going
guys.
on?
Welcome to the panel, guys.
What up?
Um,
Yo, what's up?
but yeah, like I was saying, man, I really think Dallas was due for a game. I just think in the fashion that the Celtics lost was just really embarrassing to me to see those guys really just give up really kind of after the first quarter was just kind of alarming to me. You got one more game to win in the finals. I mean, you got Dallas that had 91 shots at 51% from the field goal range. And Boston only took 80 shots. So y'all wasn't even trying to be really aggressive at a certain point in the game. Um, it just got to the point where you just started seeing them making a lot of minimum mistakes, reverting back to their beating themselves mentality type of game that we've seen from them before. So,
What's the question? Or we just recapping the game?
yeah, we just talking about the game, bro.
Oh, yeah, it's embarrassing. Crumble the paper up, Kobe it. Who cares? It is what it is. The game won't be remembered if they can handle business on Monday. To be honest,
Oh, I think it'll be remembered regardless.
it's not. It's one of the worst.
That's embarrassment.
It's one of the worst losses in the finals history. But I mean,
I covered
if you
that.
win if you win the championship, no one's gonna go, "Oh, remember that game 4 when they did it?" No, you're gonna point out the ring they won in 5. Or 6.
I think some people will still remember that loss.
Yeah, I think so too.
The only reason I would say that, Musa, and my bad, Ace, the only reason why I would say that was because just look at how the media was starting to paint a narrative and really not talking about the Celtics being up with 3-0, but talking about how they would like to see Luka progress from these terrible moments that he had so far in the series and stuff like that. Just look how they was already trying to push to see him going forward into the next seasons. So of course, I mean, I already think they're going to glorify what the Mavericks did to the Celtics last night, but I don't think it matters. I just think that's how people just push stories and stuff like that.
I still don't think Luka played really too well, but I won't speak on it too much because they won. Just like I was the same way game 3. But
Yeah, he disappeared in the second half.
I mean, we play like
out.
trash.
Speak on it because honestly, if you realize they've been trash, like especially he's been trash from the 3-point line. And
who, Luka or Tatum?
Yeah, Luka didn't hit a shot yesterday from the 3.
Yeah, he was 0 for 8. But I mean, to your point, I won't speak too much on Luka's deficiencies too much just because they won the game. I'm gonna be consistent because I did the same thing with Tatum again in game 3 when we talked about it in the private chat. But I mean, I don't think he had a Luka type game yet in the series, to be honest. But
I mean, injuries are not. At one point in games 1, 2, and 3, I was telling Mike and Peso how Luka was 2 for 15 in the 4 quarters. In games 1, 2, and 3, he averaged more turnovers and fouls than he did points. You're the best scorer in the league. You got to close out.
I didn't hear that injury shit from the media last night, though. To your point,
Man, you're right. It comes up. It pick and chooses.
But and I want to hear Tommy's perspective after this. But to what Musa said, like not only Luka but everybody else. Okay, Kyrie had a better shooting efficiency from the field last night. He was also 1 for 6 from 3. But this game from Dallas was just
the paint and the rebounds.
Yeah, it was technically it was technically a typical game that we've seen from them in the first 3 games. You probably had a little bit more bench scoring because Jason Kidd finally let some people come out. Like, goddamn, we finally seen Tim Hardaway for once. He go 5 for 7 for the field, but that's when Mazzulla basically already took the starters out and stuff like that. But Luka only had 29, 5 and 5. Kyrie only had 21, 4 and 6. So it was really no damage being done. The Celtics, again, I really think that their mentality just got shocked. Like, and that block, Shout out to that picture behind you, Mike. That block right there, that's literally what defenders should have been doing to Tatum technically all season, because he's been doing that same fucking sidestep three all
It's easier
Right.
said than done, though.
It is
I can't get you
it
with
is-
that.
He's addicted to that.
It's the same thing with Luka's step back. That shit's slow as hell.
It
Tyrese
is.
Halliburton's step back, that's slow as hell.
I
You
totally
can't stop
agree.
it.
I totally agree with you. But I've stated it before. Once you actually get into these guys' chest and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and stuff like that, it makes the game a little bit more hobbled and bobbled for them. They start making crazy decisions and stuff like that. Just somebody got some echo in the background. But it was just kind of crazy to see Gafford get that block like that, man.
I think that was a BS call they had on Tatum after that block. Like, he's already on the ground. He can't like. But neither here nor there. I mean, you know, the
Didn't really matter
was
at that
officiating.
point.
Yeah, that's why the GOAT was officiating. I got what I wanted though. I've been picking Dallas to win one of these games on the road at home just so we can get the coronation in the Garden.
Yeah.
So
at the end.
Oh, you put money up?
Nah, I ain't put money on it, but I've been picking Dallas to win either game 3 or 4 when the games is about to tip off. I just want Boston to win at home because the last few years when they did advance to the finals, it's been on the road. So that's just a little selfish fan of myself, but they need to close it out Monday because if they don't close it out Monday, it can get a little fishy.
Hey, are y'all gonna go if they win?
You said what, Ace?
Hell yeah, I'm trying to go.
T-Top, Musa, Mike, y'all going to the parade?
That weather looks hot as shit right now.
They need to win on Monday so they could probably have it on Juneteenth on Wednesday.
On Wednesday because we have off.
Exactly. If it ain't on Wednesday, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. But hey, Mike, I appreciate that shirt, man. Greatness on the level, man. Real ones.
I was gonna say, Clash of the Castle today. Had to wear it.
I'm not worried at all.
Watching that.
Not to be pessimistic, but what if Dallas wins 2 in a row? Boston can still possibly win in 6. But what if Mavs win 2 in a row? What if they get rolling?
I'm not gonna speculate on the what ifs too much.
If they
it's a what if thing. I think they purposely threw this game last night. The effort wasn't there.
Go ahead, T.
What you say?
I think they purposely threw this game last night. The effort wasn't there.
I can't go.
This is not the Celtics team I've seen games 1, 2, and 3. I don't think it's gonna happen again on Monday. I think they wanted to win on Monday in Boston. I'm not for it. I'm a person that you don't throw finals games away. You gotta. If there's a chance
why would you think? Why would you think they would have a mentality like that though? Knowing that they only one game away from being crowned champs,
and considering the situation they went through in the past, where they was up 2 games.
Like I feel what you saying. Like you wouldn't do that, but like I also seen it too. It felt like they didn't want to be there to win there.
I just feel like as a hooper, they just
the fact that Porzingis was available but didn't play 1 minute. That tells me they wasn't really trying to go.
They wasn't, but they wasn't trying to risk him, especially with them getting their ass bust after that first quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say they said they was going to try to play him in certain moments to get his rhythm, but once you see the game starting to get away from you, it's no point in putting him out there. If anything, this is a blessing for Boston because look, now you said you got an extra day's rest too. I wouldn't play him honestly because I'm thinking about the future. Because you already gave him a contract. Nah, you don't need him. You really don't need him.
We gotta end this. No, throw everything, put everything on the table, throw everything at them. We gotta end this on Monday.
Golden State did that too, and how that end up for them in 2019? They tried to throw everyone at him, and KD went and got hurt. I'm not risking a 7'3" center with that injury that's so rare that they say to go out there for 1 game, and God forbid he gets hurt more and makes it worse. Now he's going to be derailed going into the next season. I'd rather sit him out. Just sit him out. You already gave him all that money. You just sit him.
Granted, we can beat them without Porzingis. I mean, it's not the end of the world if Porzingis doesn't play. Because I just think like Kyrie doesn't play well in the Garden anyways. I think that we've seen Dallas's best, and I don't think Dallas's best is gonna win the next game. Like 2 in a row, that's crazy to me.
I don't think Dallas had, in my opinion, I don't think they played their best. Because even last night's game, you could say that they played great, whatever. They didn't shoot the ball well at all.
I think
that's the thing. Boston. I don't even think Boston has yet to have a Boston like game in this series from the 3 either.
I think in this whole playoffs, we haven't really seen a Boston.
Nah, I
really.
think we had a good. I think we had like almost a 23 made game. One of these games, I think it was against Cleveland or Miami. But that's
talking about
typical
a historical
Boston.
game?
Nah, not historical because we've been doing that all year for the most part, making almost 23s in a game or around that. And I'll check the stats in a second, but I think we had a game like that in the playoffs up to this point already. But I've seen Dallas play their best ball in this series, particularly yet from shooting from the 3. But credit to them, they one thing I will say, they finally stayed home on the corners. They didn't overplay unless necessary, like under the shot clock when they would double Tatum. And one of the plays in the third quarter, I think it was. They were aggressive. They got into the jersey. They didn't let them dictate the pace. They dictated the pace on their own. So credit to them. But Boston, this is what you needed. You was on a 10-game win streak since the last loss in this playoff. I think that's up there, one of the great runs. Boston normally don't lose back-to-back games this year. So
Facts.
I expect them to come out and be more aggressive. I think this is our 21st loss in the whole season. So, I mean,
yeah,
I just think they could just chalk that up.
I think they're 79-21.
So, yeah, just chalk that game up. Watch film, learn what you need to do better, and get back into what JB be saying, live in the moment and handle business.
Let's get to Ace's standpoint where, what if Dallas does win on Monday? Where y'all at with it then?
Well, like I said, I think it gets interesting now because now you're going back to Dallas. You already proven you can win on Dallas. You've proven you've been a great road team in this playoffs, but now Dallas has a little bit of momentum, and you guys have more pressure just to win that one game, as opposed to Dallas is just they have a little bit of pressure because they don't want to end the season, but they kind of got playing with house money because it's like, all right, well, at worst we can do is go back to Boston for Game 7. There's less pressure on them as opposed to would be for Boston.
No, I'm not saying Game 7. Game 7 would be like the craziest story run. However, last night proved how, like, you know what, instead of threes, attack them in the paint, go for their heart, go for their chest. Besides that, like T-Top said, mentally, Celtics, they just thought it would be given. They thought, but the key fact was, if you get in the paint, attack, and look how easier the game. It's not like they had a great shooting game from the 3. But even if they just win 2 in a row to make the finals better, I still feel like it would be something to talk about even if Boston wins in 6. They'll be like, yo, it'll give that woulda, coulda, shoulda. If Dallas did this in Game 3, if Game 2 was closer, like.
I always thought Boston was going to win in 6
I agree.
to begin the series because I'm like, they could do it in 5, but knowing my Celtics and the mental collapse they be having some games, I'm gonna give it 6 games. So I would love them to finish it on Monday. I think it would be a disaster if we lose twice in a row, and yeah, we would be on a little shaky. But I mean, I've seen this team; they fought back after losing a game. There's no, like, I have no doubt that we're going to win this series. So there's no way.
They can't lose on Monday.
Another thing I want to, everybody, we're all aware of this, but, Kyrie has really been looking like dog poop in Boston ever since he left there and stuff. I really think, and I'm not trying to big up the Celtics at all right now, but I really, really think that the fans is really going to be on some shit on Monday.
I think Kyrie but I think that's what this might be the time. Kyrie might actually have a Kyrie-like game in the Garden. I think I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I feel like Kyrie's going to play well because they may not be shooting the ball well from the 3, but everything else from 18 feet and in, he's getting his rhythm, and you allow him to get to his spots. And I think you don't want to let someone like Kyrie get a rhythm and get to his spots because then he's going to be comfortable.
I think again we've been saying that and expecting that from Kyrie every game, and
not me.
We've majority, but we've been noticing the same game like Game 3 where Kyrie have a big game, and what did that do? It's about the others when it comes to Dallas. At the end of the day, Derek Lively is somebody that we ain't really addressed yet, but he had a tremendous game last night as well. And Daniel Gafford too defensively, more so to say. I just think that the crowd is going to influence the players for the Celtics, and I'm expecting JB to have a big game and solidify that Finals MVP award. I think he's going to come out with 35 plus next
The
game.
Jays, expect the Jays. We ain't letting JT off the hook, bro. The Jays need to have a big game, and JB
Yeah,
needs to find an MVP. But
you could stick with that standpoint, but I think JT is going to do okay. But I'm expecting big things from Jaylen
see
Brown.
that, but that's the problem I have. This is someone that we look at as a top 10 player. He can't have an okay game on Monday. That's why I say the Jays need to play well on Monday. And of course, depending on how the numbers look, you might can go either way on the Finals MVP. But probably most people will give it to JB, although it's a little bit closer now considering how the last night's game went for both parties. But that's besides the point. I think the way that Tatum is being talked about, including from myself, he needs to have a game 3 like game on Monday, as well as JB needs to just keep playing how he's been playing this series besides last night's game.
I 100% agree. But I think Dallas role players are not going to be like, they're not going to produce like they did last night. I think playing away is always an effect for role players. So obviously we know Luka's going to come ball out. I don't think Kyrie's going to do that well. He's played efficiently game 3 and 4, but I don't think he's going to be as efficient in the Garden. And I don't think Dallas role players are going to show up. All those pretty lobs to Derek Jones and Gafford and stuff, I don't think that's going to happen on Monday. That's not. Yeah, they were a little too comfortable last night. That's why I'm like, yo, this is trash. This is like on their agenda to lose. Like this is not the Celtics team.
One person before Ace goes, one person I want us to look out for. I know it sounds crazy me saying it, and he had garbage minutes last night, but someone that's a shooter, when you get your rhythm like
Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, if Kate goes to Hardaway a little early in that game, if need to be, and he starts to get that rhythm again, it's probably because of last night. One thing I noticed that coaches do a lot with shooters who's in a slump, like in blowouts like this is when you put them in, like a Sam Hauser and Hardaway. They let them get them shots up. Regardless of who's on the court, get the shots and get a rhythm because that can help you lead into the next game. So just keep an eye out on Hardaway if he gets the minutes.
Go ahead, Ace.
I want to say honestly, and when I'm doing this, I'm not trying to be a hater. It's just somebody has to be on that other side. Now, Kyrie has been down in the Garden. However, this game could be the momentum he might need. I wanted to ask y'all something after, but I'll wait because it's a what if, what it could have. We're not there right now. Let's talk about facts. What if this is the game he needs to really, pick his head up and get some type of momentum going? Now, like you said, role players play great away. I mean, at home. If he comes on to Luka, they would always still need a third. So to Moose's point, Tim Hardaway. However, I feel like Gafford or Lively, one of them has to be the third in the paint. Somebody has to have an inside presence to make that game work.
But that's like you said, Ace. It has to be about facts, and the facts have shown every time those role players have been in the Garden, the facts have shown that they have not played well.
You're right, bro. But what I'm saying is, after that type of win, the type of confidence is going to be effective to one or two of those players. One of those two of those players are going to at least feel it in the first or second quarter.
I agree, Ace.
I just feel like this. All Dallas have to do, they don't have to blow out. If you keep the game Monday, if you keep the game within 5 points going into the third quarter, how long could the Boston fans stay yelling, stay on it, stay aggressive? At one point, it's going to come down to wills. They just have to be within 5 going into the third. Maybe, all the way. They just have to keep it close enough to where as soon as it gets quiet in that arena, it will come to the players and the coaching, and then we will have a real game.
But we seen the same thing happen in Game 3 in the third quarter for the Celtics when the lead was close the whole time until that point. And Celtics go up 20 points. Granted, Mavericks came back early in the fourth quarter, but
Luka fouled out.
Do you feel like if Luka didn't fall out, that game would be different?
Absolutely.
That's a would
I feel like that could play a role, but I think that time.
I think people overlook the fact that Jason Kidd called that timeout, though. I think that's what iced the game.
Yep, that's what I just mentioned too. I agree with that. I just feel like I'm not for certain aspects. Yeah, I could look at the previous 4 games, but at this point, each game has been different in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not diminishing what Peso was saying, but I kind of lean with Ace on this thing. The fashion that they won, granted, they haven't shot the ball well. At some point, they might be due for a game where they look a lot more efficient from the arc, and that game could be Monday. The way hard, I didn't watch the fourth quarter, so I don't know how his shots was looking and how he was getting to spots. But him being your third leading scorer in the regular season, Tim Hardaway, he can get going if he gets minutes. I ain't gonna say nothing about Dante Exum, so I'm not gonna go there. Boston needs to gain rebound so they can limit the extra possessions for Dallas. Because one of the big reasons why they blew them out the way they did was because of the glass control. With Boston not being able to rebound as well against them last night, opposed to Gafford and Lively cleaning glass. I think Lively had like 9 rebounds off the bench in the first half. That alone is going to dictate the pace of the game to what I was mentioning earlier. So I think they have some confidence. But Boston has been battle-tested and proven up until this point. At least the core players who've been here in the past. So I feel like they know what they have to do and they know what's at stake. So they just got to go out and execute.
Yeah, by far too. I mean, we got to also acknowledge that this is one of the Celtics' worst losses in the whole season. Not even just the playoffs, the whole season. I mean, only having 84 points, getting out rebounding, like Musa said, by damn near 20 rebounds. Jason Tatum with a high of 15 points. Field goal percentage was only at, I believe, 35, 36%. They only took 80 shots to Mavericks' 91 shots. So,
yeah, Tatum shot 4 for 10, and JB was 3 for 12.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Even when they both play well, they always nip and tuck with field goal percentage or whatever. But yeah, I think this is probably their worst loss of the season. As far as rebounds, I can check in a moment just to see what was the plus minus on rebounds.
But what about our role players? Our role players are due for a game too. I think Derek White and Al Horford.
Who's the role players?
I think that Derek White and Al Horford are due for a game.
You consider them the role players? You consider them like
they're not role players. They starting lineups. So I get it, but they're due for a game is what I'm trying to say. Like it's not only Kyrie that's due for a game. Like
I agree.
I mean, White's been playing well all series though, so I don't know about that.
I see what you're saying, T, but it's like with Boston's players versus Kyrie. Kyrie has the ball more opportunity. I feel like sometimes Boston goes depending on how the Jays go. Now, earlier I was telling Mike and Peso, Boston is undefeated when Drew Holiday has 15 or more, 20 or more points. Season playoffs, it's just something about that team where I don't want to say role players because it's disrespect, but they have a deep roster, a deep starting five to the point where on a given night, any one of them could get 25 up. I think we could agree on that. Even Al Horford from the corner.
I think Al Horford is due for like a 4 3-pointer game.
I mean, they're due for it, but at the same time,
I'm just saying we haven't seen that yet.
I mean, I agree. The same thing with Derek White, bro. I mean, Derek White has been playing decent, but what we've seen from him in the Miami series is totally different than what we're seeing now.
Right.
What was his numbers in the Miami series?
There was a game or two where he had 20 plus easily. He's only averaging like 15 points, I believe, or 14 points this series, but his field goal percentage is not really that good.
He had over 31 Miami games.
When I think about role players for Boston, I'm thinking about the Peyton Pritchards.
And Hauser, right?
Hauser. But Hauser's been playing pretty well. Pritchard's been dog shit all series. Like I think he made one field goal to 1 3-point field goal. But just again, I don't know exactly, and I don't know if he made any other buckets last night because I shut it off at the middle of the third. I'm like, yeah, this is over. So
I mean, when we
by the way, Dallas was plus 21 on the glass against Boston last night.
When we talk about the role,
once he was 3 for 3 points.
When we talk about the role players, guys, like how do y'all feel about this, especially in this moment in the finals? Like, yeah, okay, we got the starting five, but I think the Tatums and the Browns and the Porzingises maybe separate themselves in games like these from Derek White and Drew Holiday. The same thing with Kyrie and Luka. Like, I consider PJ Washington a role player. I consider Daniel Gafford a role player. The same thing with Derek White and Al Horford. I think they're in the starting lineup, but I consider them as role players that play literally their role.
I mean, yeah, I think everyone's a role player technically. Yeah, but I
I
understand.
just
I
want to say
agree
that,
with
yeah,
that.
but when it comes down to Celtics, Al Horford has been here with them in the finals before. So Boston experience versus no excuse. They're here now. Boston was there from the beginning of the season, whereas some of the Mavericks pieces were traded over midway. Granted, when you know your job, you do your job. It's been working. So that right there is no longer an excuse. I just feel like the experience comes down to it next. I want to say, correct me when I'm wrong, if Dallas had a third player come along, that changes things game two. Even if it doesn't win, like certain situations, you might need a third. You might need one of the players to get amped or hot. I just feel like instead of Tim Hardaway Jr., which would be great, him and Kyrie could kind of get the little mirror thing. Kyrie be like, what I do this. I love how Jason Kidd has been in that situation. He's last time Mavs went to the final, he was a starting point guard. I was told from the inside that when he tells Luka and Kyrie, instead of like talking down to them, he said, well, this is what I would do. That's a point guard they respect.
So let me ask you this, Ace. You think Jason Kidd was coaching last night better than what he did the first 3 games?
I'm gonna say
Absolutely.
it's a mix of so much, bro. I want to say that at one point, maybe because it's like, all right, we're down. I want to feel like Boston probably took a night out. It's so many different factors. Then it's the fact of the players. They probably had a meeting or something and said, "Yo, are we really about to get swept?"
And
Like
who was the
it's
leader
so
of that
many.
meeting? Do you
You
think?
said who? What?
Do you think it was a players only meeting, or do you think it was a team meeting? Or
I
what?
feel like it should be a team meeting. I'm not saying I don't know. I don't have like I didn't read anything. I'm just saying as a competitor, are we really about to get swept? I felt like Luka probably or should have
Pride.
apologized for the end of game 3 when he, yelling at his team. That would have been great leadership to be like, you know what, I apologize. I'll make up for it. Let's go get this win. There's so many different factors, but I feel like he possibly did do some. It was a mix of coaching and a mix of them cooking inside.
Yeah,
However,
I agree with you, Ace. It's a pride thing. You ain't trying to go out there and get swept, especially on your home court.
home court, game 5, even if Boston wins, I just feel like for Dallas to make an impact, Gafford, Lively, they're going to need one of the inside guys to make an impact, even if they make the game close. I'm not saying Boston can't win. I'm not saying Dallas can't win. I'm just saying to make an impact in the game, they're going to need some inside presence.
To answer Peso's question, I do think Jason Kidd was coaching last night, especially from a defensive scheme wise. Every player was up on Boston Celtics players. Then I would not allow them to get into their offense and get into their rhythm as they did the previous games in the series. They stayed home a lot on weak side corners. That's one of the things I was looking at particularly in this game because up until last night's game, Dallas continuously just gave up the weak side corner. And that allowed a lot of drive and kick. And then even Luka was just playing a lot more with more energy on the perimeter, one-on-one defense when they do the pick and roll on the POAs, which allows Dallas to dictate where the ball handler is going, and they can't get to the paint and they can't kick it. There was some shots early in that first quarter that Boston was generating that is typically good looks for Boston based on how they run their offense. They were just not knocking them down. But overall, I will give Jason Kidd some credit for that game. And just to harp back on what y'all mentioned with Derek White, he did average 22, 4, and 3 against Miami in that first round. And he had a 38-point game, which helps a lot. But yeah, I can look at the stats for where he's going now against
Yeah,
Dallas.
I think, and again,
Nowhere near that.
just to what
He's averaging 14, 4, and 3 so far.
yeah. So just to what T stated, and last time we was on, I think it was Mike, maybe an episode or 2 ago. I stated that before JT had that big game 3, that one of them 2 was due for a big game. I mean, JT came out like that, but then that's a good problem for the Celtics to have. Anything could pop up. Anybody could go off at any point of time, and I think Derek White is due for it. Just given that how JB has evolved, the same thing with Holiday a little bit and Jason Tatum a little bit. I think the ball is out of Derek White's hands a little bit more. I've been noticing this series. He's been taking a lot of catch and shoot jump shots and stuff like that. So I just hope for adjustments. I hope they really watch some of the tape and see what they could do moving forward. Which, in my opinion, I don't really think it's I think
I'm gonna echo.
that's some echoes. I think it's just the mentality thing, man. I think that they really got shocked last night, and I just think from their body language and stuff like that, they didn't want to be a part of the game no more. So I think they'll be fine. It was kind of crazy. I think I looked it up. When I looked it up yesterday after the game was over, they already had the Celtics at a minus 275 to win game 5 at like a 79% chance. So, but that's just, Vegas and all them wanting to get their money in the pot and
Well,
and
honestly,
stuff.
what you
So,
said, I don't want to. Granted, I know you said those guys are due for a game. I feel like Drew got some of those touches White should have. What I'm saying is, even as a competitor, a fan of the game, Boston don't have to do too much adjusting. They went up 3-0 for a reason. So,
I agree.
I mean, they've been balling too. And I know some people say, maybe a Celtics hater. I'm clearing that up. So,
Still
they've
are.
been,
But go ahead.
anywho, they've been doing something right to go up 3-0. I just don't want them to make too much adjusting and Dallas adjust faster. At the end of the day, I want good basketball. I'm not ready for the season to be over. That's selfish of me. And T, what I was telling Peso and Mike, if it wasn't a problem Dallas won, it was the fact that how they won. Mike, you normally want to keep us grounded with the analytics. How do you feel about the fourth quarters and all of the games so far?
On both sides.
From both sides or whatever you're willing to share. Like how I brought up how Luka had more turnovers and fouls than points in the
Yeah,
fourth
I was
quarter.
gonna say Luka's disappeared in the second half. I think of every game pretty much. Never mind the fourth quarter.
Excluded
Then
last night's game, obviously.
yeah, last night that was the fourth quarter. Just don't even really count. Like that game was over early, but I just like going back to game 3. That was crazy. The Celtics, what'd they go 2 points in 8 minutes, something like that. But before that, they did a good job to close out. Still, even in game 2 and game 3. Game 1 was pretty much a blowout, so they didn't take the foot off the gas there. I'd like to see them just stick to more of what they did in game 1 than anything, but I don't know. I'm sort of down on the product overall this year from the NBA. It's just I don't know. I just hope it's better next year. I know we had a lot of injuries this year, but it's just been a lot of lackluster games in the playoffs.
I want to ask T Top first. Well, T Top didn't Ace because I don't think Ace was here last time when I asked this question after game 2 or 3. If Boston wins Monday, where are you ranking Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as far as top players in the league? Like, what will be your range? You don't have to be an exact number.
I think both of them are easily top 15. I was having a conversation the other day, not last night, the game before game 3. Would you build your team around Jaylen Brown or Devin Booker? And I think that's a serious argument right now because for me, I would pick Jaylen Brown just because he's a elite two-way player in my eyes, and Devin Booker can't clamp down players the way Jaylen Brown can. So I would.
You're asking them to build around him as the number 1 option, just so I can get clarification.
Yeah, that's what he's saying
Yeah.
as a number 1 option.
All right.
As a shooting guard.
Okay.
I think I'm like right now the confidence that I'm seeing from Jaylen Brown and his shot making and like just always on goal and aggressive. Like I think I'd rather have Jaylen Brown now than a Devin Booker. But with that being said, I think he's easily top 15 with Anthony Edwards. Jaylen Brown, like the same way people have hype for Anthony Edwards, I think it's time for Jaylen Brown to have that hype.
So do you think T going into next season, Jaylen Brown?
So where would you put
Anthony Edwards?
Wait, ask your question.
Do you think that Jaylen Brown's going to be better than Anthony Edwards going into next season, ranking wise?
Ranking wise, no. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Jaylen Brown, they're starting to show him love, but no, I think Anthony Edwards is still obviously he's the face of the Wolves, and Jaylen Brown's not the face of the Celtics. So I think they're all automatically going to rank Anthony Edwards higher people might consider Anthony Edwards top 10 right now, to be honest.
Nah, I don't know. For those who do that,
I understand what T's going with this because it's not where we at. I think they're gonna put that out there. I do agree. Go ahead, T.
My fault. Was he done or was that my turn?
No,
just to conclude, you got both of them in the top 15.
JT and Jaylen Brown are top 15. Yeah.
Who would you think be higher, JT or JB? Just for the clarification.
Now you're getting real dicey.
Well, that's why I was asking the question.
He put you on the spot now, T.
That's kind of my overall gist of the question. Like,
are we going off of this season, this playoffs?
Is this whole entire season overall? Is this entire this? I'm about to answer that. I'm talking strictly off of this entire season, playoffs included.
Yeah,
the entire season, the 2023-2024 regular and playoff season. Who would you think will be ranked higher, Jaylen Brown or Tatum? Because since you have them both in the top 15.
Yeah, it's still Tatum. Okay. I mean, I know Tatum's potential. I've seen him hit 50, have 50-point games, and he's all NBA for a reason. I think Tatum, he hasn't played like that this playoff series. That's why it's hard to say like Jaylen Brown has played like a top 10 player this playoffs, but I've watched enough Celtics game to know that JT has a ceiling that's higher than JB right now, and so I still have JT higher than Jaylen Brown.
His ceiling.
Hold on, Hazel. I want to get Ace real quick. Ace, what about you?
Didn't you say just off of this year though, Musa? Correct?
Yes, it is. That's what. But
yeah, that's why I go JB. Yeah,
I'm not gonna get into the details of it. I'm gonna keep it strict to the point. Ace, I want to hear from you. Where do you think they will rank JT and JB as far as the best players in the league? And who do you think is higher?
Before I start with that, I'm gonna make that quick. I just want to say shout out to Shaq because he's been in a situation like this when the who's better part, and he told Jaylen Brown, he was like, "Hey, listen, don't worry about the titles and the rankings. Don't worry about who's better. Stay together, do what y'all do, and everything like that." From someone who's been in that situation with him and Kobe, I feel like it's dope that he did, do that because he could have probably saved the Celtics franchise from probably ripping apart with just that conversation alone. Ranking is kind of of course, ranking next season based off this season is situational. Ant was looking like the man until he lost, and now he wasn't. Going off of this, Tatum and Brown both, at one point they're unique. They could do things the other can't in certain situations. I just give it to Brown only because he plays defense at a higher clip sometimes.
Okay. Mike, I thought you still got more to say, Ace? I was going to go to pace on Mike next.
But defense don't always do the rankings. Offense does. But if Tatum is whatever number Tatum is at, I don't see why Brown can't be right there. They average the same amount of points as Booker. So he has to drop. But I feel like if they're 9 and 10, if they're 9, the other one has to be 10. 14, the other one has to be 13 or 15. I don't see a world where they're ranked like too far of a gap.
So if Tatum was at like 6 or 7, you think Brown should be like 7, 8, depending on wherever Tatum was land, or vice versa.
Depending on what it is, only because honestly, like right now in the rankings of scoring, let's say Booker was 9, KD was 10, or something like that. Granted, it's difficult to say because then we get into touches, first option. If I'm the second option, I have just as much as you as the first option. Why can't I be in the conversation too? Certain teams have that 1A, 1B instead of just 1 and 2. And Celtics is a great example of it. Right now, like T pointed out, Tatum has been iffy in certain situations. He made up for it in other ways. I'm not trying to discredit that. But why we can't, hats off to Jaylen Brown for being that lead. Right now, he's the lead man in the finals. Doesn't mean that Tatum wasn't the lead man before. It doesn't discredit Tatum. It's not saying, it's just hey, bro, I'm off. You got me right now. That's the whole point of having a partnership. I don't want to say Batman and Robin, Superman and Batman. So I feel like it's a situation where I'm supposed to lean on my dog. Like, hey, bro, like mentally I'm not there. You got me. I got you.
Okay, I agree. I want to stop you right there because I want to get Mike and Pesos And thoughts on the question before? Because I got one more question I want to ask you guys. Mike, who you think? Where would you think they will be ranked between JB and JT as far as the best players in the league based on this season, including the playoffs? And who do you think will be ranked higher?
Based on this year, Jaylen Brown. Every other year I'd pick Jason Tatum, but this year, Jaylen Brown. I was not big on JT's play all year. I've never criticized him before this year. I've always been a big fan of him, but he really rubbed me the wrong way, especially the second half of this year. But I'll just stop it at that. I don't even really think it's too much of an argument personally myself. I'd just much rather have JB this year, just strictly this year though.
Okay. Peso.
I think this is tough because we talk about how JT's in the top, like at one point top 5, top 6, top 7, which is kind of crazy. That we're talking about him and JB, and right now my pick has to be Jaylen Brown based off of this season. But it's just crazy because I wouldn't put Jaylen Brown in that top 5, top 6, top 7. But comparing the two, I would just pick Jaylen Brown off of these specific reasons: defensively, efficiency, clutchness, and decision making. I think overshadows Tatum. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I'll be quick. I ain't even gonna go into why. I think Tatum will probably be ranked between 6 to 8, and I think they'll probably have Jaylen Brown between that.
And that's the crazy thing.
12.
That's the
I think
crazy
they'll probably
thing.
have JB around that 12 to 15 range. That's just my guess on how I perceive. I still put Tatum over Brown based on the overall season, including his playoffs. But that's just my take. My last point before I let Peso take back over real quick. I have a blind guessing game. I want to ask you guys. I want to have you guys do. It's only 2 players though. Just 2 players. It's based on this playoff run, this overall up until this point in the finals. I'm gonna read off the stats, and I want y'all to guess who it is between JT and Jaylen Brown. First player throughout the playoffs, 24 points, and I'm gonna round up for the stats. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. 60% true shooting.
It's Jaylen Brown.
I think it's Jaylen Brown too.
Jaylen Brown. Who else thinks it's JB?
I want to hear the other one first, but I'll go with JB for now.
I mean, if we've been watching the game,
Yeah.
we should know that.
Ace, who you think it is?
You're muted.
Ace here. I think he's muted. Yeah.
I think it's a player on the Boston Celtics.
Go ahead, Musa.
Such a political answer. The other player, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 55% true shooting.
Yeah, that's JT.
Yeah.
That's JT. The rebounds sell it away.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Jason Tatum stats this playoff run, and that's just Jaylen Brown stats in the playoff run. The reason why I brought those up because particularly because it's the finals, things get magnified. But I'm hearing a lot of and rightfully so, Jaylen Brown deserves all the praise and all that. But I feel like a lot of people in the media is giving a Jaylen Brown praise while diminishing Tatum as if he hasn't done anything this playoff run. Now, obviously, Jaylen Brown has had the better finals series. But I just want to make sure we don't forget what JT's been doing this season.
Who gets finals MVP though?
Right now, I'll still give it to Jaylen Brown.
But I think that's
right now. But it's a lot closer now. If you would have asked me that going into Game 4, I think it would have been clear for it would have been JB to lose. But I think after how Game 4 played out for both parties, and I said this earlier in the live, based on how they played last night, it's a lot closer. Now it's really down to who plays better Game 5.
Right.
Have you got their pie though for the series? Because that takes out all the Fugazi stats.
Because their pie.
Yeah, because I'm sure Brown's pie is much higher than Tatum's.
Can you explain to the people in the chat who don't know what pie is? What is pie?
It's
Mr.
player,
Analytics,
it's
Mike.
player, it's player impact basically. And say like if Giannis wants to pad his stats to get where 4 guys get out of the paint, so he gets the rebound, they're not going to count that rebound. Missed opportunities, they count that. Quality of shots. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but it's a more focused thing than just generic stats.
That's why for me,
It sounds like a lot of advanced shit that shouldn't really matter too much. Not to discredit Pie, but
for me, man, at the end of the day, the stats is there, but it's more for the eye test for me, man.
Yeah, and that's what Pi goes to is the eye test. It's the stat that represents the eye test.
I'm not diminishing what Jason Tatum has been doing this playoffs at all. I think he's been playing pretty solid. He's been doing a lot more than other things, which I'm appreciative of. I just think that Jaylen Brown has been better overall, specifically on the defensive end. Specifically with being more efficient, making better decisions, being clutch in clutch moments.
I agree with the efficiency, but like the eye test will say, since we're going back to the Pie and the eye test, it's easier to be efficient when you're getting less of the defensive scheme against you as opposed to Tatum. Just want to also put that out there.
I don't know because you got to account for that second man too.
But no one's scheming. No one's going to go into the game. Are we going to scheme? Who's a good example? I don't want to use.
Like Jaylen Brown, I'm pretty sure the scheme would be force him left and get him uncomfortable. Like he's a scorer on that team too.
But they're also not throwing double and triple teams at him. He gets more one-on-one matchups. And I'm only playing devil's advocate from the viewpoint of watching the games. More times than not, and I'm not just talking particularly just this finals. I'm talking about throughout this playoff run. Jaylen Brown gets the better matchups typically against the defense as opposed to what Tatum's getting. And I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just putting that out there from the eye test part too. But that still doesn't negate the fact that Tatum needs to be more efficient. I kept bringing it up. I think it was game 2 or 3. He missed like 3-4 easy bunnies at the rim.
It was game 2.
So I want to just make sure I'm being clear. I am not using this as a crutch or excuse for Tatum. He needs to be more efficient. I'm just pointing back up to what Mike was saying regarding the Pie and the eye test. Let's make sure that for those who watch the games, let's look at how the defense is typically schemed. There's a reason why Tatum is able to get 12 or 6 some assists because he's allowed to get to the rim and kick it because the defense is collapsing on him. So that's what I was trying to point out. But I do agree. I think Brown has played better in this finals. The playoff run overall, it's a toss-up. You can go either one. But like I said, I don't care who gets that finals MVP, to be honest. I want the ring. So
one thing that docks Tatum, too, is them having him play the one. Because you see so many passes that he misses, and he just shouldn't be playing the one. I think you can.
His handle's not good enough. I think he need to tighten up that handle.
Exactly.
Actually, he's trying to go one like last night's game. To add to your point, Mike. I think it was against Luka on the right wing. Mm-hmm. He backpedaled. He had him. I'm thinking he had a little step. Granted, to Luka's point, he had played a little better defense on the island, but you can see he's coughing up the ball a little bit from between the legs going to the left hand.
Shit,
but he got to just get his handle better.
Look at the Daniel Gafford play. That was a very, very settled freaking crossover jump shot move.
Well, I can't say too much on that because he didn't think Gafford was going to actually contest the way he did because they haven't been doing that all series.
But Gafford was in his body, like not literally, but he was there, and he could have easily blowed by them. He did the same thing against, I don't know if it was Derrick Jones or Lively last night too, where he settled for another jump shot. And
I agree with that.
Yeah, he settles a lot.
I agree with your point with the whole settling. But I thought you just talked about just the overall play itself against Gafford. Now him settling, I agree. He settles too much, and I think JB resorted back to some of his settling ways last night too.
Oh, absolutely.
Plays, I'm like, yo, why you settle? You settle for corner threes. Yes, you improve shooting the 3 ball, but that's not your game anyway. I know Tatum can shoot the 3, but y'all know how I feel. Tatum play in between, play 18 and in, because that's going to open up the 3-point shot for you. Brown is already like that, and Brown's a better transition player, I believe, than Tatum. And another thing I want to say, I know Draco ain't on here, but I'm gonna say it. After watching this playoffs run, I've been kind of, unobjective with certain things. I'm gonna say it definitively. He could be at some point, but Tyrese Maxey,
oh my goodness,
does not come close to a better bag than Jaylen Brown. That's all I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm not getting back into that.
I'm leaving it at that, boy. I've been watching JBU work. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. I even gave Maxey the transition game, but after, I don't know. I think it's a lot closer, but I digress.
Nah,
He
we
doesn't have the size.
wouldn't be where we are right now with Tyrese Maxey, and no Jaylen Brown. I don't buy that.
Nah, we're talking about just the bad. We ain't even talking about the player. But you see Joel Embiid trying to get PG to come to Philly last night.
Yeah, I think Joel Embiid needs to focus more on his relationship with his point guard than worried about what the Celtics got. But moving forward, before we get out of here, fellas, real quick, what's your picks for Game 5 on Monday?
Boston.
Oh, Celtics is ending it. Banner 18.
What you got, Mike?
I got Boston.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas, but I think Boston will get it done in Game 6 because I don't think they've lost 3 games in a row this year, but when they've done that in the past against Milwaukee, they have lost 2 in a row. So I don't see it going 7 right now, but I can definitely see them losing Monday night.
Yeah, I got Celtics closing it out on Monday. I think JB is going to have a big game. I think Porzingis, we're going to see a little bit from him, not too much, but I think he might be in there to start to just, elevate the game a little bit more, and I think the crowd's going to be involved. I think Kyrie's going to be shocked out of the game. Luka probably going to have a big game. Just going to call it right there.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, quick, before we go off, Mike, I got to ask. Who you got, Priest or McIntyre?
So,
I know we got to go, so you can just say who you got, just the name.
Well, I'm gonna say this quick. CM Punk is in Glasgow today, so I think even though Judgment Day is banned from ringside, I think CM Punk will interfere, and I think Priest will retain, and that'll go into SummerSlam because I know Gunther is going to get that World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, so I just don't see them putting the belt on McIntyre today to have him hold it for only 2 months.
Man, it sounds like we need a wrestling podcast for the great April. The way y'all talking, because I don't know nothing about that stuff. I know CM Punk, but man, that stuff changed for me, man. I've been out of that stuff for years now, bro. Musa already know how we go fall back with them days, man.
Peso big ass over trying to put a motherfucker in a Boston Crab growing up. Hey, G-Top, you know how big Peso's 6'5". I'm like 6 feet, but back then he probably like 5'11". I'm barely 5'2". Big ass, put me in a damn Boston Crab and shit.
I always had to rough up the young ones, man. Make y'all who y'all are now, man.
Okay, man. We
Man,
all
thank
the
y'all.
shows going back in the day. Me, Peso, and Clips.
For real, man. Hey, man, thank everybody for tuning in, bro. Just y'all keep liking the channel, continuing to help us grow. Continue to subscribe, leave comments down below. We appreciate y'all for being here. We will be back for another episode, probably Tuesday afternoon after the game on Monday. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Seas.
Brady 8.
Hey, run that thing up.